This video is a presentation from Group 15 regarding the impact of information technology on the growth of populism. Starting off with an overview on populism, it is a range of political approaches that targets the average person in society. This means that populism is an ideology that presents itself as a good force to represent the people against the elite. Populism comes with some advantages and disadvantages. Some of the advantages are it defends the interests and maximizes the power of ordinary citizens, targets younger audience into politics, and brings attention to the excluded existing political system. Some disadvantages of populism are that it increases sense of government and the elite ignoring public concerns. It threatens the independence of impartial institutions that safeguard the integrity of democracy. Lastly, it becomes more difficult to meet demands from the beneficiaries. Populism affects multiple sectors in society. Populist politicians may promise to lower prices on products that are determined by markets, for example, energy, which lead to large disruptions in the supply and demand curve. Populist governments may be hesitant about free trade agreements in order to encourage exports and the limitation of imports in order to benefit domestic businesses. This puts economies in danger of losing efficiency and the competitive benefits that rise from the trade. Spending on climate change is another debated topic that has risen to discussion, especially since the election of President Donald Trump. Populism has changed drastically over time. Populism has inspired political reform, but has also been used to direct the hostilities of angry citizens to straw men. Populism began in the 1880s when the Greenback Party rose as a confluence of farming communities. They wanted to initiate inflation to help with debt and supported an 8-hour workday as part of a wider pro-labor platform. In the 1890s, populism found an official name as the Populist Party or People's Party, focused on anti-corruption efforts and economic issues. In the early 1900s, Huey Long provided the first impactful populist political movement of wave. With the slogan of "Every man a king," he gave the police more power and gained more centralized power from the legislature. He also funded education and infrastructure by taxing the rich. In the mid-1900s, George Wallace was the governor of Alabama and was nationally known for his campaign using both populism and racism, although he sometimes claimed that his racist tones were merely political to gain popular support. In 2016, millionaire real estate developer Donald Trump won the presidency on the most vigorous populist platform seen in years. Under the slogan "Make America Great Again," Trump sought to undo any agreements that he felt damaged the United States, to curb immigration, and take an aggressive stance against other countries, including allies. Examples of populism can be seen in our everyday life. The 2016 U.S. election was a prime example of the varying ways that populism has changed our political landscape. 3 presidential candidates were affected differently by populism, with Donald Trump using it to win the presidency. In the case of Bernie Sanders, he also used populism to appeal to the left-wing voters. However, he found less success than Trump. Finally, Hillary Clinton made very limited use of populism and in the end was the subject of the opposite side of populism, undermining of established political figures. We reached out to Don Tu for a unique perspective on the issue. He is an engineering student at the University of Waterloo with a special interest in the effect of populism on democracy. In 2018, he was selected to be one of the students to participate in the first ever Global Engagement Seminar.
I think that the most influential technological contribution to the modern growth of populism has definitely been the internet. It's a bit of a broad answer, but I think that the way that the internet facilitates the very rapid-fire dissemination of ideas and sound bites is something that has really changed the way that people interact with each other as well as with their governing institutions. More specifically, I think that social media platforms such as Twitter and Facebook have been a huge wildcard that have allowed populism to take on a new and incredibly important form in our world. Populism is a very strong force, and I don't think that it could be, or necessarily should be, overcome per se, but I do think that it can be recognized and mitigated by those who want to. First of all, I think that there needs to be radical reforms in the ways that society actually views the responsibilities of individuals within a democracy. For example, if you want people to vote, you need to start with making the vote more accessible, whether that's through expanding advance voting, making Election Day a holiday, or actually bringing the whole entire thing online.